Hello everyone and welcome to Veterans in Crisis podcast. Today we have John Quinn, WO1 John Quinn. John's been on the podcast before when we did it in the studio, but he's got some quite exciting news about a new range of clothing that he's got. All right, John?
Hello, Jay, all right?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
Good to see you. Yeah, doing well.
Good to see you, mate, seeing as you totally messed me whole system up and you didn't turn up on Wednesday. So it's good to see you, to be honest.
I know. The days are just running into one at the minute. Got a bit snowed under with work and all that kind of stuff. You know how it is.
Yeah, I'd imagine I was thinking you'd be watching Netflix with your feet up, eating loads of chocolate, just totally disregarding all my texts.
If only. No.
So what I wanted to, well, I'm always happy to speak to you, to be quite honest, mate, because you're a nice bloke. But do you want to explain to people what you're doing at the minute? Because obviously you're a W1, but you run the military ball. You were running Sunderland Armed Forces weekend, which sadly got cancelled, and your new clothing.
Yeah, so basically at the minute I'm still in the army, but under an FTRS contract.
And what does that mean for the people who don't know?
A full-time reserve service contract that I'm on. So I left the regular army. It's come up to, in October, it'll be 2 years. But I was fortunate enough to get another job at my last unit, which means I get just more quality family time. You know, I won't get picked up for any more operational tours, no long-term exercises, nothing like that. So I get to see my kids grow up. I mean, I've got, as you know, I've got a 25-year-old daughter who's now living down in Leeds, and I missed all of her growing up. So I just took the option to jump. I didn't jump very far because I'm still wearing uniform, but I get to see the kids, you know, see them go to bed at night, all that kind of stuff, and it's spend weekends with them, and it's great. But yeah, the clothing thing that I'm bringing out, I've always wanted to do a brand. So I don't know why. It's just something I've always liked to step into. So I came up with the idea of the Military Specification Guild, or MilSpec, which we've shortened it down to, and it's T-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve T-shirts, hopefully baseball caps and hats in the future. But I've noticed there's quite a few around as well. There's loads of businesses doing the military slogans and images. But I just wanted to.
I think I'll just try copy it off Becks, mate.
I think so. But for mine, it's. And I'm sure you've experienced this, and everybody who'll be watching this will have experienced it as well. It doesn't matter how long you've done in whatever service you joined, and it doesn't really matter the experience that you've had, whether it's good or bad. People still tend to be really proud of what they've done. You know, so I know loads of lads who've done 3 years, and I know loads who've done, you know, like I've done 26 years now. You know, and it's a mixed bag of experiences, but it tends to be the first conversation point you have with people is, yeah, I was in the RAF, I was in the Navy, I was in the Army, I went here, I went there, and it's trying to keep that commonality going between everybody, and even if it's just wearing a T-shirt or a hoodie, you know, with a regimental saying, a regimental slogan, so you can ping somebody straight away, go, all right, yeah, he was in the engineers, he was in the paras.
I like the chosen one from for the light division. And your little write up you had underneath. I was thinking, I'm going to buy one of them T-shirts.
Yeah. It's nice, isn't it? And it's
good, right?
Well, I think they're nice, and I, you know, I do a lot of getting in touch with old mates and people getting in touch and, oh, can you do one like this? I can do any, because I produce it all. You know, it's been a big learning curve for me, so I've had to get on these design apps and download design websites and stuff, so I'm able to produce what's actually going to go onto the shirts. There's no other parties involved in that. It's me, and well, my wife helps us quite a bit as well. So we can put anything anybody wants on a shirt, you know, and like I say, anything that sells. I got in touch with you before we set off to say I want 5% of everything that we do sell goes towards Becks. So I think
which is a brilliant thing.
Really important. And I really want it to be more. And hopefully, if it takes off, and I think it will take off, that in the future it will be more, but I'm having to take real baby steps at the minute because it's cost a lot more than I thought it would. Setting up a website and all that kind of stuff. And we've tested the system. You know, we've tried one or two companies to work with, and I think I've settled on Joe from MilSpec, just around the corner from the stadium. So we're keeping that local. The other two that I went for were basically print-on-demand companies. So anybody would go onto the website, they'd order a T-shirt, but the timelines from people ordering to them receiving whatever they've ordered was just too long for me. You know, in this day and age where people can go on Amazon and order stuff and be at the door the next day, somebody waiting 2 or 3 weeks for a T-shirt to turn up, just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me.
We're having that problem ourselves. Like, if somebody orders something specific that we haven't got in stock, it's taking weeks. But I mean, a lot of it's been down to the COVID carry on, so I can't really complain. You know, a lot of stock's gone, and it's more difficult to order stuff. And we went down the road of a website with a shop and everything, and that, I'll be honest with you, it turned to shit. Like, I was selling all sorts of stuff until the shop, and then totally died down. So I went back to people just contacted me, and I ordered. Which is not ideal, but
I've had to, because I'm still in full-time work. It's I've had to go the website route. I haven't got the time during the day to manage answering messages or emails during the working day. So even on the stuff on the website that I'm doing, I'm getting in from work 5 o'clock, seeing the kids are going to bed, then I'm jumping on the computer and sitting on the computer till 11, 12 o'clock at night just to make sure everything's ticking over. All right. I'm hoping that'll die down once I get used to doing it properly, you know, and get a bit more experience behind it. It's all new, something new. And sometimes
obviously the Armed Forces weekend was cancelled. The military ball was put off. You've got to think, you know, you've sort of took this army job, so you see the kids more. But if you're going to be doing all that, you're going to see the kids less.
I know.
You know.
I know. Welchs keeps telling us that, but I think I thrive under pressure a bit. You know, it's. I think that going back to people when they leave the forces, I think it's one thing that life can probably slow down a bit too much, and you can dwell on things a bit too much. And I think I need all this extra activity to keep my mind ticking over, keeping us busy. You know, I mean, it was a real shame about the Armed Forces weekend, but and we were being queried as to why we cancelled it so early, and not thankfully, but you know, it worked out that we had to anyway. But it was, people were booking hotels to come for the weekend, and they needed time to get the cancellations done so they can get the money back. We had people booked on. We had to cancel with them so we could get some funds back off that, you know. But again, thankfully, a lot of people are just rolling on to next year anyway. So bigger and better next year, hopefully.
Aye. Is it still in the same place, or can you not say it?
No, hopefully it'll still be in the same place. I still need to put the permits through the council to get that granted, but hopefully it'll still be in the same place. I think it's ideal. You know, it's a fenced-off area. Even though it's a thoroughfare, people can still come through as and when they want, but it just makes it easier for us to manage on a place like that. And it was the same with the military ball. Absolutely good. We were hoping that was going to turn into a standing feature of the North East calendar, because to my knowledge, still it's not done anywhere else up and down the country, an event like this. And if it is, it's rank specific. Where ours, it's open to anybody. Put a black tie on, put a ball gown on, come and have a good night. But everybody was understanding when we cancelled in July, and it was really good. A lot of people forwarded their tickets on for next summer. And again for the Christmas do this November, that's gone really well. You know,
is that still on?
Yeah, that's still on now. I've got a meeting next week at the Ramside on my birthday, the 18th next week to.
I'm not sending you a card. I'd say you drop that in.
You like it. But I've got a meeting with Ian. Ian Owen. He's a lad who helps us run it all. We've got a meeting at the Rams side next week to talk through things with them, and just fingers crossed. Joe, you know, it's things are changing weekly. I mean, we've just seen today that air bridges are closing down again, and for certain countries, France and all that, and I don't know how long it's going to be, how long this is going to be going on for. But we've got a plan for it. You know, we can't just not do anything.
Yeah,
you know?
well, the one thing that I wanted to get cancelled looks like it actually is, like, because I was supposed to be running the Amsterdam Marathon.
Right.
And I haven't done any training, and it's in October. Because I just thought, because everything else got cancelled, I just thought, it'll get cancelled. Didn't bother training. So I got an email saying, hey, it's still going to be on. I was thinking, that cannot be, man. Well, then they brought this quarantine thing in from Holland, and there's no way I can have 2 weeks off work just for doing a run. So luckily, well, touch wood, it's going to get moved to next year, and then I'll train. Because to be honest, I've already done it.
You did for the Great North Run.
Eh?
I thought you'd do the same training you did for was it last year with the Great North Run? Was it just Becks?
Becks Blue in Premier Nutrition meals for 2 weeks. You know, it worked for me. It worked. Yeah. Well, I mean, this week I've run 2 5Ks with the clients, and when I was running them, it was easy, but I was thinking 26 miles, man. I'm not going to be able to run that, like. So I've emailed them today and said, like, because it's came out about the sort of quarantine, the 14-day quarantine, they've got to cancel it. They've cancelled the Rotterdam one.
Right.
And I mean, even in the email it said, if it's on, it won't be the same as normal. And I've never run a marathon before, so if I do it, I would like it, the sort of party part and all that, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I've asked them, it'll probably be cancelled, but if they can just put it to a year, I'll do it next year. And I will.
But it's the same with them. They'll be trying to protect their costs, wouldn't they? Because it'll cost them a lot of money to get all that set up. And I think it just all boils down to finance.
It is, mate. It is. I think it was about 89 quid or something to do it. And I was financing myself again, and I was obviously going to get sponsored to hopefully pay towards the building, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't really ask anybody for any money, sponsorship type stuff, why this is going on, because people's losing their jobs, you know. It's making a big dent in everything. But we're looking ahead. We've put in for funding and stuff to go towards the building. So, you know, touch wood.
How's that going on with your funds? I know you.
Well, we've got a decent deposit, and then if we could get the funding, if we can match what we've got, we've put in about 3 bids. If we got a bid from each one, we'd be more or less done.
Great.
But failing that, we've got a canny deposit. I just have to get a mortgage, which is something I don't want to do, because when the money we get in, we like to give away, you know, and I don't want to have that overhead for the next 25 years. So
that's right,
hopefully we'll just see how it works. I mean, everything else seems to have worked all right, you know, just by blagging it. So let's just hope it does.
Well, I've got my fingers crossed for you, mate. I really hope it works out.
Well, cheers, man. I really appreciate the you giving us the bit from your profits as well, you know, because all this, people think, to only give a little bit, but all these little bits add up.
No, well, that's it. And like I said, I wish it could be more. It's just, it costs a lot of money to get things set. So I don't think I'll be able to take anything out for the first year setting this thing up. But I'll still mean, you know, honour my commitment with you guys. You know what I mean?
Well, I think if you're passionate about something, or getting money out of it, you know, it's a secondary thing, isn't it? I mean, I've been lucky, so I never took any money out of Vicks for 2.5 years. Didn't get it paid. I took another job, so I've worked 2 jobs, but then luckily I've been funded from last month. So, you know, so it's funded for a year, and then I'll start worrying after a year, you know. But it's worked out the way I expected. So, touch wood. I keep saying touch wood. Nothing's wood in here, it's all for Micah. So what else?
I keep up to speed with your Vicks on Facebook and everything, and I think it's amazing. You know, I see Sam doing the PT sessions with the lads down at the beach. I think it's amazing that you're still maintaining that connection with people who need it, and you're still there. So, like you said, it's really difficult for people, and people's anxiety with what's going on, it must be going through the roof. So just to have that person there to be able to talk to, it's it's first class.
We struggled at first. Me and Claire worked every day in the lockdown, but we didn't let any clients in the ERV, and we had to do everything remotely. Not everyone's on social media and stuff, so it was a bit of a struggle, but we managed to deliver stuff, and we made WhatsApp groups and Messenger and things like that. Now things have relaxed a little bit. We had the idea of doing the backyard up, so more people could get in, and then we've got a little parking bay out the back, so we could sort of spread out. So I think you get probably 20 people there if we had a barbecue, and that's with social distancing. So indoors, we're only really letting 4 people in at a time, but we've got 4 floors, so if needed, we could use each floor. What I didn't want was, because when we started, people were suffering really bad with socially being isolated all the time. This wasn't a new thing for them. So when it happened again, they were just got used to being with people, and I didn't want that. 'Cause it's heartbreaking. If you get a routine, because yourself, being in the army, routine is everything. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing all day. We have clients that come here 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, today, for instance, so I've took them running at 8. They've only left now because I'm on here. Right. So it's enjoyable, mate. It is really enjoyable. I mean, it's took over my life, but it's in a nice way. I've never had a day where I've thought I've got to go to work.
Yeah.
Even if I'm working weekends and nights.
Well, that's what people try and achieve throughout their life, isn't it? To be able to do that, so.
So I can't really, I wouldn't complain about any part of my life, The things the stories I listen about of people, it's fucking harrowing, to be honest. Harrowing. Yeah. Some of the things I hear. But knowing that even if you help them people by 1%, it's amazing massive feeling. And the model being, you can only work here if you're from Sunderland and you've been a client, to work with clients. I think personally, and I think that's the way it should be, So you can see from being a client, then you're a volunteer, then you get full-time work, if that's what you want, and you can your shared experience of life to a great thing, because not everyone wants to sit down with someone who, people say posh people, right? Like doctors and stuff. They're not posh, it's just because they went to university, But people, squaddies, think, I'm not telling them stuff. I mean, even...
No, because they think there's no, commonality there, is there? There's no, they won't understand where I've come from. They won't understand what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. That type of thing, isn't it?
Well, I think as well, what a lot of the clients say is the way we are in here, the way we dress, the way we talk to people, it's completely different from the big charities, like say the Legion and that, where the people in charge are officers, and they've got any sort of empathy with them, because they don't really know what living in Sunderland is like, you know what I mean? Or the things that people have been through. And I'm not knocking any other charity, but what you have to remember is, if you've been in it, you live in the same city, you've got the same economic status, that's them type of things makes you think straight away, well, he's talking sense, or she's talking sense.
You're living and breathing the same air, aren't you? And that's, I think that's the difference. Yeah.
And Sunderland's a brilliant place to live, brilliant place.
I love it.
Vicks wouldn't have been anything like it is if it wasn't for the people of Sunderland. And I say that all the time.
I've lived all over. 20 odd years I've done. 12, Cyprus. I'd go back to Cyprus tomorrow, mind. Just put it out there.
There might be a quarantine if you come back, mind.
But I've lived Tidworth, Aldershot, Germany, up and down Germany, all over Belgium, and we've come back to Sunderland. All right, the family's here, but to be honest with you, when me and Kelly first got married and we moved away, we said we'd never come back, but we have. And I think what I've noticed is seems to be a lack of appreciation of what's on the doorstep by a lot of people. You know, the great beaches and all that kind of stuff. But hey, it just is what it is. I love it, but I know there's plenty of people who don't, and there's plenty of people who criticise it. But
yeah, but what I find, John, about the people who criticise it, haven't lived anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
there's plenty of shit places in the country. You know, we've got all sorts just on your doorstep, like you say. I mean, 5-minute walk to the beach from where I am. 5 minutes into the town, football stadium. You know, it's I can't knock it for anything, like, you know.
I think we've got the same issues as every other town and city up and down the country.
Of course, mate, of course. Other than we've got the best veteran service, you know.
That's right.
Well, my long-term aim now it's sort of set up is like, I would like the model of Vicks to be sort of what everyone in the country looks for and says, well, that's the way you should treat veterans.
I think that'd be amazing. Yeah. Because I think anybody who spends a bit of time researching you or look at just following you on Facebook for a little bit, it's just untold good that you do. You know, from the coffee mornings that you organise to the PT sessions down at the beach and stuff. It's and I've no doubt there'll be one or two other charities around the country doing that. But if they were to use yours as a model, like you're saying, it can't go too far wrong, I don't think.
No, well, I mean, so Sunderland as a whole, like the big companies like the council, Gen 2 and stuff like that, they're all bought into it. So we're partners with all the big hitters, really. That, to me, a citywide approach, it's simple to do. You just need people to buy into it. That's all you need. You know, and it wants to do, that's great. Things happen really quickly.
I think it's just trying to basically speaking to the right person first, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what a lot of people have found before. They're just speaking to the wrong person. That person doesn't know where to direct you to. Then it's like the door gets shut and they don't bother. You know, but I don't know, mate. I don't know.
I mean, see, our sort of partnership, even with the football club. I mean, the football club's just been given the Silver Award, and same as we have. A lot of our other partners, Gen 2, the CCG, the stadium, the university, are just getting gold awards, you know. So it shows you that what's happening in Sunderland, it really is paying dividends. Because for people to be receiving big awards like that, something good's happening.
Yeah. So, and it's only good because I know when I did the research for the military ball, there's a huge military community in the northeast, you know, and it's massive. So it really is good to see that we don't even have a garrison in the northeast anymore. The closest garrison to us is in Catterick. There's no military bases up here anymore other than the reserve centres. So to see the councils and these big companies getting on board with the Covenant, I think it's fantastic.
It is, mate, it is. What you got planned for the rest of the day then? You on leave now, aren't you? So,
I'm on leave.
Thanks for coming on when you're on leave, to be honest. Well, you wouldn't have dared say no after you messed us around on Wednesday, would you?
We've got no plans. Day trips out. Might have a dodge up to High Force. I've been following a group called Robust Tours on Instagram.
I know him.
So I've been following him, and I like some of the areas he's been. So I might drag the kids out to a few of the places that I've seen on there. But
I did. Wearside. Is it Weir? So from Stanhope, in 4 things, I did 2 of them with him. John, right. I think. John, I
don't know his name. I just know him off the.
He's ex. Might be Royal Engineers, I think.
Right. Okay.
Transport or something. I know him. We've done a few things. Me personally, I've did a few things walking with him. I walked from, I think it was Stanhope to Bishop Auckland, and then Bishop Auckland to Durham. That's 2. There's 4 sections, and then with the 2 I've done. Right. The idea was to try and do it all in one go, kip out overnight. Yeah, but that never happened. That never happened. So I did the 2 things with him.
I'll tell you what is good. I did Hadrians Wall 3 years ago. 3 years ago today, we started off doing Hadrians Wall. Set up from Carlisle all the way through. It only took 3 days, and he was 7 at the time. But yeah, that was an amazing experience.
Did you camp?
Yeah. We found like obviously before we set off, I found out, estimated how long it would take us to walk during the days and all that kind of stuff. Got in touch with various campsites, and there's quite a few, mate, on that route. Some are just like farmers' backfields, which is good enough. I think that's where we stayed the first night. But they come out of, what did we have? I think he made us some sausage and chips and come out with a couple of cans of beers for us, on the night time. And then the following night it was by Sycamore Gap for the next night where we stayed, and there's a campsite just down the road from there. But it was great, just carrying everything on your back. And we just went for it. It was good.
Well, I'm gonna go gorge walking, I think, this week. I've been taking my daughter gorge walking, and then I've been looking on the internet, and it was All Terrain Adventures on Facebook, and I think it's the 30th. It's a week on Saturday. I don't know what date that's gonna be. You got this gorge walking in Coniston, but you abseil 100 foot before you start doing it. So right. I'm booting that up today, and we're going to do that next Saturday. I'm into all that kind of stuff, Before I was happy just sitting around drinking all day, but it just gets boring, doesn't it?
I do with mine, but mine's only 10 and 3, so I can't take them gorge walking or abseiling just yet. But I'm going to break them in, mate. I think we'll get some nice walks in next week. Like I said, doing that. The Teesdale walks, going to High Force, Low Force, and all around that area. But looking out the window, it seems I've got the good weather for next week.
Oh, I know. Same as me, mate. Well, I'll be, if you're passing Stanhope, give us a shout, because I'll be up Stanhope.
Yeah, I will.
Be up for a drink. Right, mate. Thanks very much for coming on.
No worries.
Really
Sorry
appreciate it. Yeah, I'll never let you forget it now, mate. Never let you forget it.
Don't forget, if you want any slogans or anything put on these T-shirts, to you and anybody who's watching, just give us a shout. And
well, if you email me the website and any links, anything like that, we can get it put along the bottom.
Okay, mate. I will.
And also, remember to come pick your Jackie Trot up.
I'll get myself up there this week.
All right, nice one. Nice speaking to you, Paul.
You too. Take care, Jen.
Thanks, man.
Enjoy your time. Bye-bye.